I'm Mindy Tate, Executive Director of Franklin Tomorrow. Welcome to the January 10th Franklin Tomorrow Frank Talks presented by our friends at Renaissance Bank and sustaining partner Williamson Medical Center. So we have a great group this morning as panelists, but also it's interesting. I'm going to try to bring up the chat, but I'm not going to try to stare at it too much because it's always concerning to me to do that. And a webinar is a little different. You can see the panelists. They cannot see you, but you can use the chat feature so that we can see what you're thinking and what's going on. We're also live on Facebook this morning on the Franklin Tomorrow Facebook page. And so we are happy to be able to put that together and put that out there this morning into the realm of the world. It's January 10th, 2022, y'all. It's 2022. Let's all start practicing writing that on things or typing in those numbers. It's a good one. So we are excited to be here this morning. And we've got a great panel, and I'll just introduce them really quickly before we really get started into the program. Our panel today for our New Year What's Ahead topics include Jason Golden, Williamson County Schools Director of Schools and Superintendent, Eric Stuckey, Franklin City Administrator, Nathan Zipper with Williamson Inc. He's a Business Development Director there, and Misty Woodford, who is the President of the Williamson County Association of Realtors. So we've got a great group this morning, and we are anxious to get started. So we're going to move forward, and we have a slideshow to put up, and we'll move forward through there. So New Year, what's ahead? The first things first, we are going to try to take our Did You Know segment. And do we have a caller? Oh, she's in the chat. Okay. So, so I can't see her though. So we've got a caller to help us with our Did You Know segment.
Good morning, Mandy.
Good morning. So we've got Nancy Conway to do our Did You Know segment. Good morning, Nancy. How's this weather for you? Are you just staying in and trying to stay warm too?
Well, pretty much. But, you know, the sun is beautiful today. It's a little chilly for some people, but it's a big improvement over the previous few days.
Yes, ma'am, it sure is. So, Nancy, you do our Did You Know segment for us every month. So we've got a question. You got a question, and we're going to watch the chat and see who gives us the correct answer. So go ahead with your question.
Well, I just want to remind everyone that the African American Heritage Society is planning their annual Black Tie event, which will be held Saturday, February 5th, 7 p.m. at the Embassy Suites in Franklin. And, of course, this is a major event for everyone, and the social hour will begin at 6. Now, your question today is, concerning the African American Heritage Society and the Black Tie event. Question is, what year did the Black Tie event begin? I'll repeat the question. What year did the Black Tie event begin?
So you can type the answer into the chat since we can't see you. If someone wants to type the answer into the chat, give us a year. I'll give you a little hint. How about it's later than 1999? How about that's for your first hint? So what year did the African American Heritage Society Black Tie Affair begin? And let me tell you, this is one of the largest events for Williamson County in terms of black tie events that completely sell out the Embassy Suites. And they will be moving it back a month. Alderman Matt Brown tells us. They're meeting on Wednesday to discuss that, but they probably move it back a month. But it has over 500 attendees usually for this event. So somebody said 97, go a little later.
And Mindy, some years they've had as many as 750 plus attendees.
Wow. Wow. Nope, we need to be in the 2000s, people.
Well, Mindy, I didn't mean to present such a difficult question.
Tony, you're close, but okay, well, we're going to call it, for the sake of time, and the year that it started was 2002. So thank you for those who played along. We love it when you play along, but we're going to keep going with our program today. And thank you, Nancy. I know you're busy, and we will move forward from there. Nathan, you raised your hand. Tell us do you have an answer?
Sorry, user error. That was not, I did not mean to raise my hand. I apologize.
All right, so we'll move on to our sponsors, and we first want to start with our friends at Williamson Medical Center. We don't have a representative this morning, but our medical center is a great asset to our community, and as we look at the new year ahead, they remain very busy amidst the resurgence of COVID. But they also have been recognized as a 5-star hospital, and that is quite a recognition, and we have a short video to play in recognition of that.
Williamson Medical Center has long been committed to the highest quality and safety standards, and 2021 is no exception. The hospital has once again received a 5-star rating from CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The hospital is among only 3 5-star hospitals in Tennessee and one of only 455 nationwide. The overall star rating is awarded from these 5 categories: safety of care, readmission, mortality, the patient experience, and timely and effective care. The distinction is representative of the team's dedication to compassionate, quality care. Williamson Medical Center is honored to be your 5-star hospital.
Great, thank you for that video. And next, we have our friends from Renaissance Bank, and I see Harrison Crabtree and Tony Sharp and Diane LeBlanc in their conference room. Tony, y'all have anything to say this morning?
Good morning, Minnie, and yeah, thank you, Beth, for the shout out. Roll Tide, big day today. But
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. No, we just want to thank. Glad to be sponsor again this year in 2022, and I feel like we picked a fitting video for everything that's going on to show everyone here based on current Tennessee conditions. So I'll let you roll that footage.
They say you can't have 3 seasons in a day, but come to Tennessee, we'll prove you wrong. But this is a great video.
Right. The sun rises in the south once again as southerners begin to emerge from their habitats. But this morning is unlike any other in the southern lands, for a brisk air has fallen. This is the first cold day in the south. Observe these southerners as they scavenge deep within the nooks and crannies for garments that lay long dormant, their winter clothing. Strange, sleeved fabrics essential for braving the harsh conditions of below 60-degree weather. Oh look, it seems as if this one has found her winter coat. Watch as she revels in its warmth. And if she's lucky, maybe she'll find some long-lost treasure stashed away within. Ah, yes, there. See? She's found some loose dollar bills, an old ticket stub, and a cough drop. Likely expired, she pockets it once more with the intention to throw it away later, but probably won't. Here we see this underprepared southerner who only owns the top half of the winter garb. His trusty shorts and flip-flops, a year-long fashion. This southerner will try to convince you that he's not cold, but rest assured, he is. And what's this one up to? She seems agitated, using her sense of smell to find the source of a slight burning scent. She frantically searches the stove and the oven for the source, but to no avail. What could it be? Inevitably, the southerner recognizes this bitter stench once more as the heat was switched on for the first time. Doesn't she feel silly? Let's check in on Diana again, shall we? She seems to be admiring some new gloves. In fact, those look just like the ones she lost last year. She'll likely store these in her jacket pockets, at the ready for the bitter chill. Oh wait, what's this? The lost gloves were in her coat pocket the entire time. Ah, such a bittersweet find. Driving in the cold proves difficult for this southerner, whose visibility is hindered by a great fog over the windows. Observe as he attempts to use the defogger. Note the confusion on his face as he switches from hot air to cold air, unsure as to which one works better. When neither proves effective, the most risky of their kind will attempt a head-out-the-window maneuver. A dangerous ritual, to be sure, but one he repeats yearly. And now, Diana, bundled up and finally ready to brave the cold, steps outside. But as quickly as it came, the cold has left, and in its wake, a sunny 75-degree air remains. As Diana begins to sweat instantly, she returns into her domicile to find her familiar tank top and shorts, packing away her warm clothing once more.
Renaissance Bank, the best bank in the South. Visit renaissancebank.com to learn more.
Okay, well, I kind of felt like that last week, some before the snow, but we did get a beautiful chance to have some snowy weather. And so that was really nice, and we're excited to it. But we're going to get started with our program this morning. And again, I want to welcome our panelists. We have City Administrator Eric Stuckey, Williamson County Schools Superintendent, Director of Schools Jason Golden, Nathan Zipper with Williamson Inc., the Business Development and Investor Relations Vice President, and Misty Woodford, President of the Williamson County Association of Realtors. And so good morning. And Eric, we're going to start with you giving us an update on New Year, what's ahead. So good morning.
Good morning, Mindy, and good morning, everybody. Buddy, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year. It is a daunting task these days to look ahead. If we've learned anything in the last 2 years, we've learned that some of what we think is going to happen and our plans can be very quickly changed. But what I want to do today is just give you an overview of some things to look forward to and see where we go from there. Mindy, I'm trying to control this, but it's not moving for me. So I don't know if that's something on my end.
So you should be able to control it by using your arrows.
Yeah.
Click with the mouse.
There it is. There it is.
Got it. Great.
I'm good to go. Yep. Thank you. So, all of us on this panel are really in one way or another in the quality of life business for our community, building a place that people call home where they build their businesses, build their lives. And that's a big deal. And so that continues to be our focus in 2022 or really any year. But we'll be focused on quality of our services, and we look at a lot of different clear benchmarks about how we provide it. But we also every other year do a citizen survey and ask for the perceptions of our citizens about how we're doing and what's on their minds. And so we'll be doing that again this year, and this spring, we'll be launching that. So stay tuned. There'll be more to come to that. We have a random selected group that respond to the survey, but we also open it up for all of our citizens to take the same survey and to give us that input. So that's something to look forward to here in 2022, and will be part of what you see this spring. So look for that and give us your feedback, help us learn from your perspective and help us serve you better. So that's a big part of the quality of life component. So that's one thing we'll be focusing in on. A strategic focus is always important. We've had a strategic plan for several years that helps guide our operations. But as you all know, at the end of 2021, we have a new board. Half of our board members are new to elected leadership and to one another. And out of respect for that, and also just the fact that we're due and ready to update it, we'll be working through the year to update our strategic plan. So that'll be something, and that citizen survey and other data points and other input from the community will certainly play an important role in that. So that's something we'll be working on. The other element I'd touch on is, we're always focused on getting our work in the community and the services we provide through our city team, through our people. We are definitely in the people business, and businesses all around are experiencing the same challenge of recruiting and retaining the right workforce. And that's important to us as well. one of the things that we were embarked on as the COVID pandemic hit a couple years ago was an update in our compensation plan. We look at where we want to be so that we are as competitive as we can be, hitting certain targets, et cetera. And we've had to sort of hold off on that as things settle down, but we are moving through that. And really one of my primary budget goals for the budget that we'll adopt for the new fiscal year, which starts July 1, we'll focus on supporting that updated compensation plan and what we need to do to be continue to be an employer of choice for employees, getting the right talent in the door and keeping them with us and delivering those services. So that's a really important strategic focus point for us as well. So what I'm going to spend the rest of the presentation on are some major projects and really kind of a top 5 of projects that are coming forward that contribute to that quality of life, meet community needs. And so I'm going to show you some of those. The first one relates to a joint project that we're doing with Franklin Special School District. This is at the Poplar Grove Freedom Middle School campus. And this is a complete redo, renovation, upgrade of the ball field complex there. It'll be great benefit to the athletic programs at FSSD, but it'll also be a great additional recreational resource to the community. And so it's really going to serve as both a school facility, but also an enhanced park facility for programming throughout the year. So you see here an overall plan view. This is a project that's underway now. Here's another rendering of the facility. It'll have full restroom facilities and different concession stands, batting cages, different other elements, walking tracks around it, and both baseball and softball fields there as well. We're really proud of the joint partnership. It's a 50-50 partnership to pay for the upgrades and for the project overall. Here you see an aerial of the project underway just from a week or so ago, and we expect to open this in the fall. So I'm really proud of it. It's the first of a number of projects that you'll see Franklin Special and the City of Franklin work together on. This was identified jointly as the top priority, but there are other projects that we have in mind to both enhance the offerings for the school and supporting their services, along with providing enhanced recreational facilities to the community. It's a really smart way to jointly use our assets and benefit the community together. So that's that project. I think there's one more picture of it underway. And again, it's making great progress. We expect to have it open for the fall. The next one I want to talk about, another parks project, our Southeast Park area. We have a major infrastructure project underway to connect from Carruthers Parkway into the park site. This is a 230-acre park site with the Robinson Lake to the north, and then an active recreational park to the south, and then a site for a future water reclamation site there as well. So it's a really important complex property the city wisely purchased over 20 years ago that we're now going to be able to use for these needs, especially in one of the areas of most growth in the city, the southeast area of Franklin. And this will provide some much needed park space, recreational amenities there as well. Here's one of the major projects is to build a bridge to get to the site. That bridge is underway. This is from about a month ago, and making great progress in getting there. We also have some other infrastructure that we're working on. That'll be complete by mid-year. And then we'll be able to start on building the first phase of the project, which includes 5 athletic fields, rectangular shaped athletic fields. So think football, lacrosse, rugby, those kind of sports, as well as really the one of the crown jewels of the project, the inclusive playground, LEG's Dream World. And this is one we'll be fundraising for too. It's a public-private partnership. We're raising money in the community to help support this inclusive playground. It's for all ages, all abilities, and our first fully inclusive playground that we'll have here. So it's
Eric,
about
I'm excited about that project.
Oh, sure. Yes. And Franklin Demaro has played an important role in helping us get the ball rolling here, as well as Friends of Franklin Parks, which is really a a sister organization that Franklin Tomorrow helped get started as well. And so we want to raise there's about a $3 million price tag associated with it. And we'd like to raise privately about half of that, and then the city will match it to build this project. And we would like to have it underway this year, expect to have it underway this year. And you just see some renderings of the different elements of it, gathering places, restrooms, game areas, music area, different safari theme that plays throughout it. And just, you see the bright and bold colors and just a fun place. You can't help but smile when you look at what this is going to be and what it's going to bring to the community. So we're really excited to deliver that, as well as the other elements of the park as we do phase 1 and get that underway here in 2022. All right, so now we've talked about parks. Let's talk about some other infrastructure, some major improvements that are underway. The multi-use trail. We had built part of this trail from the western area of Franklin, from Carlisle to the Freedom Middle School, Poplar Grove campus. And now we're taking the rest of that multi-use trail all the way into downtown. It's well underway. It's already being used by a number of our citizens. Saw them there this morning as I drove by it. But we will complete that somewhere around April. Some of what gets in the way is paving season takes a little break here during the colder weather. So that affects us a little bit, but we expect to have that by spring completed and create a great opportunity to walk, ride your bike into downtown, to Jim Warren Park, to the school facilities. All those elements are just a great addition. And we also have a significant grant partnership here with the state of Tennessee, about $1.8 million of grant money from the state to help us do it. So that's moving forward. Another important project, Franklin Road, well underway. We've all seen a few of the headaches associated with this project, but it'll provide sidewalks on both sides of the street, connecting downtown out to the factory and the park at Harlansdale Farm. It'll widen the road and provide for a 3-lane cross section throughout. It'll provide streetscape elements, the decorative lighting, upgrades to water and sewer and electrical and storm water facilities, all completely upgraded as that aging infrastructure needed those improvements. And so by contract, it should be completed by September. There is a contractual incentive to have it completed by the end of May. We'll see how the contractor does. There's some financial incentive that the board granted us the authority to provide if they hit what we call a no excuses deadline, meaning it's completely open and open for use by the public by a date certain. It's a way we wanted to get the attention of contractors. So that's something that we've got going. It's a little over $16 million project, great connection into existing sidewalk networks, out to the park, out to the factory. I never want to see a mom pushing a stroller on the side of the street again. And this will help provide for it and be really a beautiful entryway into our downtown as well. And then the last project I'm going to talk about is the largest single project in the history of the city of Franklin. It is the upgrade and expansion of our water reclamation facility. This is where we take wastewater and treat it. We already treat it to a very high degree, about as well as anybody in the state of Tennessee, for discharge into our reclaim system, where it's used at golf courses and other uses throughout the community, as well as discharge into the Harpeth River. So we treat it at a very, very high level. And this expansion moves our capacity from 12 million gallons a day to 16 million gallons a day, provides some enhancements to our treatment capacity, and brings in some additional state-of-the-art capabilities. You see, actually, some elements of this are underway now, but this will be completed by the end of this year. We have an exciting technology that we use to treat the solids that came out of this process. Now we haul them to a landfill. This treatment process will turn them into an exceptional quality Class A biosolid, which essentially can be used as a soil additive or treatment in agricultural and landscape work, all of that. It's a really high quality product. And we're really proud that we won't be hauling it to a landfill, but we'll be reusing it to the benefit of the community, and folks can use it themselves as we turn it into a useful full byproduct.
So that's a significant step forward in sustainability for the city as well, correct?
It absolutely is. It saves us time and money, but it more importantly makes it a beneficial use to the community and agriculture and landscape work, all of that, and it's just a better way to use our resources. And so that's a quick overview. There's a lot going on. There'll be more that'll develop as the year comes, but our team stands ready to deliver on a great 2022. And thanks for having me.
Great. And we had a question or two, but we'll try to save those to the end or get those answered separately. But we want to move forward so we have time for all of our panelists. Next, thanks, Eric. Stay with us if you can. And then we will move on to share with Jason Golden, Williamson County Director of Schools. Jason, are you with us this morning?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mindy.
All right, great. So glad you didn't have to call a snow day today, huh?
Well, of course, that snow day was we actually had two, and that was one of the easiest decisions we've ever had. You know, usually we agonize over those. When's the storm coming in? What's it going to look like? We had some conversations with the Nashville severe weather folks who were really pretty wonderful. If you've ever looked at their Twitter account and given us updates, and that was an easy decision. It came fast and hard.
It did. I mean, the snow started about 7 a.m. on Thursday, and I thought, oh, how pretty. And I looked back out 45 minutes later, and there had to be almost an inch on the ground by then, and it was pretty significant. And good call.
Well, again, it was the easy one. So we'll have some tough ones down the road. Of course, for us, the number one driver is bus safety, right? Because our buses travel just about every road in the county. And so what might be happening in one spot might not be happening elsewhere. So we really have to keep an eye on everything. So we have so many team members, the Sheriff's Department, Emergency Management, City of Franklin, Brentwood, Fairview. It's really a team effort to make decisions like that.
Well, great. So you have control of the slides, and so you should be able to take us through your presentation, and we're looking forward to it because I know things are great in Williamson County Schools right now.
All right. Well, thank you, Mindy. Y'all, I have a 5-slide presentation. Of course, the first one is these photos. And our board long ago established our vision statement that Williamson County Schools will provide a supportive environment where students are challenged to pursue excellence in academics, athletics, and the arts. And, you know, when I think about that vision statement, the term supportive and challenged are in the same vision statement. And that really is a complex process. And we have such a great team of folks led by our Board of Education. And we're doing a really good job in that. And so because I'm Williamson County Schools, I can't help but celebrate. And we're going to start with some discussions of academics, athletics, and the arts. But because this is a kind of a vision for where we're headed, a projection of where we're headed, the course of this year, I am going to start with. And Mindy, I've hit my arrow key and it's not gotten a response. Oh, let me try this one. Here we go. So, what are we looking at this year? You all, this year we have 42,000 plus students. It's the largest Williamson County Schools has ever been. We're actually officially the 6th largest school district in the state of Tennessee. Traditionally, for those of you who've lived in Tennessee a long time, you know that Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, and Chattanooga are the 4 largest cities. And Rutherford County actually passed Hamilton County in the number of students, and we are 6th right behind Hamilton County. And Rutherford and Williamson are growing. And so we continue to grow. That number's our largest. We actually, as of Wednesday, Mindy, the day before we had our 2 snow days, where not a lot of people were enrolling, we had actually 42,308 students. Since Labor Day, which we call end of first month of 2021, the beginning of this school year, 4 weeks in, we have actually grown by 328 students. 328 students just in the middle of this school year. The tradition is for families to move in the summertime. Christmas time is another big jump, but we continue to grow. So we expect that. We were 894 students over our projection. When COVID hit and the governor closed schools 2 springs ago in spring of 2020, we lost student numbers, and that's pretty much true across the country. Most public schools had a reduction in numbers, and we had about 1,500 or so students leave our district a year and a half plus ago. We projected about a 2-year recovery on that number. We're already about 700 students more than we had back before COVID first hit. So that is a theme that we continue to see. And of course, I suspect Misty's probably going to reference something along those lines when she speaks about real estate. So, class of 2021, we had the highest percentage of students in the state scoring 21 or higher on the ACT. This is a benchmark number for the state of Tennessee because it references the state scholarship programs. We had the highest by about 6 or 7% over the next closest, and the next few behind us were the single high school city school systems in suburban areas and other parts of the state. So we are very proud of that. We had 77% of our graduating seniors score 21 or higher on the ACT. We actually have a really high goal related to that in our strategic plan. And so it's been an intentional push for us to grow that so that we can open those doors for scholarships for our students. Our overall ACT score this past year was 24.9 district-wide. The national average is 20.3. 24.9 for us, 20.3 nationally. There are only about 10 states that actually require all graduating seniors to take the ACT. So if you dig around on the internet and look at statistics related to the ACT, the majority of the states, it will be those students who intend to go to college and are pushing themselves with the ACT. In Tennessee, and again, 9 or so other states, everyone takes it. So statistically, when we are at 24.9 and the national average at 20.3, that includes a large number of students who are pushing for college. In a lot of states, that doesn't include everyone. So we are very proud of that and the doors that opens up for our students. We also, of course, have some really good college and career technical education programs. And I know many of your children participate in a lot of those programs. Mindy, I think if I'm not mistaken, you said about 130 or so folks are participating in today's event. So for those of you, I know you probably can't see each other, but I wanted you to get a grasp of how many of you all are participating. So next, 72 National Merit semifinalists this year. The National Merit Program is based on the PSAT. And we really encourage our students to take that, and we work on that. That's a district record. Our record up to this point was in the low to mid 50s. The reason we jumped, a big reason we jumped, is this is a competitive national scholarship program. And we pushed and kept students on campus as much as we possibly could during the pandemic. And we outshone so many other locations in the country because of that. And so it was really good to see that for those students who were competing with their peers across the country with that extraordinary number of 72 National Merit semifinalists. Again, that's a door opener for our students, and we're very proud of that. We had 24 reward schools this year, and that is based on the state analysis of student academic performance and student growth largely. They factor in attendance and some other smaller elements in that. That is by far the largest number of reward schools of any school district in the state, about double the next school district. So we can't help but brag on how well our schools did in the state testing. 14 National Blue Ribbon schools cumulative. We had another Blue Ribbon school this past year. And we actually just got a request from the state. They nominated another school for that award that we submit to the United States Department of Education. So when you talk about academics, we continue to shine. And in our experience, we've been able to shine even brighter in this environment as the national trend has been fighting COVID for this past year. So next, we talk about academics, athletics, and the arts. Just in this year already, we have 6 TSSAA state championships. That's just to date. Very proud of our students. We have a lot who've competed even at the state level and came in second or third. But in athletics, we continue to shine even this school year. Girls soccer, volleyball, golf. We had 2 football teams compete at the state championship level. Both of them came up short, but what a great season for so many students. I had a conversation with one of our principals just during the football game. And she said, I want so badly for them to win because they're such good kids. And it's been so exciting to see that, because these events, these opportunities develop students. There's some research back in the 90s that emphasized the importance of participation in extracurricular activities. A lot of that research has determined that students who participate in extracurricular activities are more engaged, they push themselves harder, and they look for the next steps with a better plan. And so we're very proud of that. And you see the references to All-State Band and All-State Orchestra. Our students continue to shine. So let's talk about our challenges and our projections about what we're looking at this year. Y'all, we're not experiencing anything else that I don't think many of your businesses are experiencing. Staffing is a big issue for us. I've had a lot of conversations with Mayor Anderson about that. And traditionally, governments are hard to transition quickly because we work on a budget year. The tax rate is set long before the budget time. And when there's a market change, it's very quick to change sometimes, and governments have a hard time changing with that. So we're having some really deep conversations about that because staffing is a big issue for us. I want to give you just a little bit of statistics related to that. We have 3,021 teachers in Williamson County Schools. We serve, you heard that, over 42,000 students. We are 81 teachers short. Now, that's about a 97.5% staffing rate. And you might be able to survive that. And we do work hard going through that. But when we plan for a teacher and that teacher is not there, that is very difficult. So staffing continues to be a challenge. Nationally, the number of students graduating from college programs for teacher prep programs is shrinking. And we're feeling that as well. So now more than ever, we're having to compete with our neighbors for teacher positions. And we're recruiting well out of state, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and lots of other locations to try to bring folks in to serve your children and your grandchildren here in Williamson County. So that's going to be an effort of ours. We're looking at pay. How do we find a way to compete with teacher pay and what we call classified positions? So many of those hourly positions, those support positions, we actually literally lost some staffers this past year to fast food restaurants because they jumped their pay, and many of you have seen that. And so that will be something that I expect in the next few months for us to find a way to address pay as the market becomes even more competitive for staff members. We always brag about our good benefits. We do, of course, have good health insurance benefits, but that continues to be a challenge. Special education is a big challenge for us. We do a really good job with that. 20, 30 years ago, when the model changed and we recognized that there's a lot of value in bringing all students into the public schools, we jumped in with both feet from the very beginning, and we're doing a really good job. Staffing right now is a challenge for that. So be looking for that we're going to continue to work on retention and recruiting, and pay is obviously a big part of that, but the working conditions in the community in which we live has to be a big selling point for our teachers. So the next bullet I have there is getting students new to the district at or above grade level. With those large numbers, those increases, it's been a lot of people from out of state. We have something called RTI, Response to Intervention, where we determine where students are on the spectrum of being ready to accept the grade level instruction that we have. And we are finding that our numbers for the need to intervene with students to get them up to that grade level has been growing. And it is largely students who are new to the district because they lost instruction where they came from. in so many other states where they weren't able to get that instruction directly during the past year and a half. So that is one of the big challenges we're facing. So those of you who have parents coming in with children who have been out of school, who have been remote exclusively, maybe for the past year, when you're speaking to them, encourage them to have conversations with us about that intervention we're doing to catch those students up, to bring them back to grade level. Food supply chain. Many of you, I'm sure, are seeing that. You find at grocery stores and at restaurants, blank might not be available because of supply chain. We're facing that on a daily basis. Back during the Donald Trump administration, the USDA determined that the school students would not have to pay for their school lunches. That was continued when President Biden became president. So right now, no one has to pay for school lunches. And we're encouraged by that, but every day is that daily challenge to make sure we have the food for our students. Final thing I want to mention, Mindy, national issues. Again, we reflect the community, and all those issues that you hear about nationally are affecting us. Of course, COVID was a big issue and continues to be something that we spend time on and making sure we do what we can in our environment to keep students safe. Mental health issues are a growing issue that's discussed nationally. I think folks are becoming more aware. We continue on that growth of folks becoming more aware of the need for mental health issues. We know those stories about COVID impacting people as they felt isolated. We are feeling that too in public schools. And so that continues to be something that we focus on, the increased need and finding resources in our community to serve our students. We have actually school social workers who put folks in touch with private providers to make sure we can get those resources available, but we are providing services in the schools as well. So that is a growing issue for us as folks recover from the last couple of years. You may hear stories about curriculum battles, about library books, those kinds of issues. There is a growing trend in areas with high-performing school districts for this to be a public discussion. I want everyone to know that this excellent instruction that many of you got when you were here, that we continue to grow, that we've been providing your students, is our number one focus. We got to keep students safe. We know that, and those two items, keeping students safe and providing them excellent instruction so they can get those opportunities, are there. So we know that over the course of the next year, those discussions will continue nationally. And that means we'll be having those discussions here as well. The state sets our curriculum, gives us pretty strict parameters on what we follow. And our teachers and our administrators do an unbelievable job in getting those opportunities to the students. It really starts at the elementary level with what the community calls phonics, just those basics of learning how to read. That fundamental structure of students learning how to read with our English language arts curriculum sets that foundation for all our students. So Mindy, I touched on some of those celebrations we have. In those business-related opportunities that we're going to have over the course of this year, along with those community issues. And with that, I told you I had a 5-page presentation, and I do encourage you all to stay informed and stay connected to Williamson County Schools. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and you'll get those immediate notices. So thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Jason. And we'll try to maybe have a question or two at the end, but thank you so much. I want to move on now. And we have Nathan Zipper, who's the Vice President for Business Retention Development here for Williamson Inc. And Nathan, good morning.
Good morning. It's so good to see you all. Thanks for having me with this star-studded panel you've convened. I'm honored.
Well, you should be able to click through your slides with using your mouse, and we'll hear from you, and we'll move forward so we can get this in our time frame. So great. Good morning.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think I was sitting here thinking it's really pretty appropriate that you had me go after Eric and Jason, because when I think about the work that I do for Williamson Inc. with new business retention and recruitment, especially recruitment, a lot of the conversations that we have with employers looking to move here start with tell me about the schools. What's the K through 12 environment? And how are the local cities and municipalities run? What kind of leadership do you have behind those? And so it's nice for us to be able to have those conversations because of all the things you just heard Jason and Eric go through. We win a lot because they are excellent. So what I wanted to do, I think before we talk about 2022, I think we need to look at kind of what happened in 2021. But before that, I wanted to give just a quick overview of who Williamson Inc. is, because I have found that a lot of folks, you know us as the Chamber of Commerce, and we do some ribbon cuttings, but there's so much more to the work that we do. So I wanted to take just a few minutes to talk about kind of who we are and how we serve Williamson County. So I threw our mission statement up here, and you can certainly read that. And so the next slide, I kind of will talk to you through about how do we do these things? How do we drive economic success in Williamson County through connecting, engaging, and activating the business community? So when you think about Williamson Inc., again, a lot of folks, I think, know us for the Chamber of Commerce work that we do. So you've probably attended a Member Connect event or a Williamson 101 event. We put on a lot of young professional programming, certainly the ribbon cuttings. But the economic development work is also really meaningful. And we can kind of we're going to talk through some specifics about what we do on that side. That's where I live. I live on the economic development side of the house. Although I will say part of our structure is unique in that in a lot of communities, the Chamber of Commerce kind of does its thing, and then economic development lives under an umbrella of either a county or a city. And so it's a real competitive advantage for us when we're talking with employers who are either considering a move to Williamson County or who are looking to expand. It's a real advantage for us to be able to say, hey, we can do all the heavy lift of economic development work, but we can also support you once you've landed or once you're here through all the Chamber of Commerce activities. So a couple of things I'll talk about on the economic development side that you need to know that we're involved with. New business recruitment and expansion. Again, that's my area of expertise. And so the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about that. We spend a lot of time in the advocacy space. So I got to think that some of our attendees know my colleague, Kel McDowell. Kel spends a lot of time putting on the Policy Talks programming. He organizes our Day on the Hill, but he's really our advocate. He's the community's advocate at the Capitol, helping to drive these initiatives that are going to benefit Williamson County. The Franklin Innovation Center, I'm sure most folks on this call are familiar with that. So that's the O'Moore College of Art and Design that we went in conjunction with the Heritage Foundation. That's an entrepreneurship center. So that's 4,000 square feet of space that we've dedicated to growing homegrown businesses. Diversity, equity, inclusion programming is something that we spend some time in. So our team has been instrumental in helping launch the Black Business Coalition. We put on a leadership DEI series for some of our investors. And then we also put on various roundtable gatherings. So while the Chamber of Commerce has 1,400 or so chamber members and their revenues driven by chamber membership, the economic development side of the house, we have what we would call economic development investors. And so we put on roundtables for those folks. So that's kind of a 30,000 square foot or 30,000 foot view. If you kind of zero in a little bit into the work that I do specifically, and that tends to get a lot of attention because people get excited about who's moving here and creating jobs. This is just a snapshot of what took place in 2021. And again, I think it's important for you to know what happened in 2021 because I think it speaks to what we hope will happen in 2022. So Williamson County, Franklin, we are a headquarters and back office destination. And so, and a lot of times what we'll end up doing, my job is when a company raises their hand and says, hey, I'm interested in relocating my headquarters to your community. Tell me what that means. My job is put my arm around them and hopefully help them make a great decision, which is ultimately move here and create great careers for our family, friends, and neighbors. So last year we responded to 17 different RFIs. So 17 different companies raised their hand and asked those questions, which was a tremendous increase. That was a 30% increase over the activity we saw in 2022 and a 13% increase over 2019. And so I've got 6 logos there, and those represent all the 6 headquarter relocations that we announced last year. And so a couple of things to know about these 6. One, I hope you notice the diversity of industry, which is a huge win for our community. That we are not all in on one sector is a big deal. So you go from advanced correctional healthcare which is, as it sounds, they provide healthcare services to correctional institutions, all the way to Kaiser Aluminum, which is a publicly traded aluminum manufacturing company, to K-Love, which is part of Educational Media Foundation. So we're all over the map, and that is a really good thing. The other thing I will share with you is that aside 5 of the 6 moved into existing buildings. So we have a lot of sublease space in our community. And so Educational Media Foundation is the only entity, only organization represented here that's actually building something new. So we get a lot of questions around, well, they're who's such and such is coming and they're going to build where? Well, more times than not, they're taking on existing space that is currently vacant. And so that's a good thing as well. In terms of where they're relocating from, so on this page, you've got Advanced Correctional, which is out of Illinois. Landmark Recovery was out of Arizona. Kaiser, Gutter Glove, and K-Love, all 3 of those were from California. And then Integrated Biometric Technology was really kind of a homegrown deal. So that was we are launching our headquarters in Williamson County. And so I think in terms of, so this was a great year for us, right? 1,000 new jobs created, $8.3 million in capital expenditures. That does not include what Educational Media Foundation will be building in Berry Farms area. So that number will increase significantly. And so in terms of what I think is going to happen for 2022, this next slide is a bit light because we're not really sure. So, when I spend a lot of time with site selection professionals. So when a company is looking to relocate, they'll hire a site selection professional to kind of scour the communities and help them make a good decision. And when I talk to site selection professionals, basically what they'll tell you is that the big HQ companies that we're trying to relocate here, they're just taking their time. And so, we saw a flurry of activity at the beginning of 2021, in part because they had spent a good bit of time already kind of assessing what they wanted to do. And then the moment was right. So I think you're seeing a reset a bit in terms of that thought process for companies and working through that. So what will it look like this year? I don't know. I'm hopeful that we'll have a number of great RFIs come across and we'll get to swing at some great opportunities for our community. But a lot of that depends on the speed in which these companies make their decisions. And no one's going to force their hand into making those decisions before they're ready. I also think there's going to be some increased opportunities to support existing companies this year. So while I focus a lot of my time on that recruitment piece, I also spend a lot of time in helping companies that are here who are growing at a pretty healthy clip access resources from various buckets to help them do those things. And so there has been an uptick in that the latter part of last year and even into this year, where companies say, "Hey, I think I'm going to increase 30 new employees over the next 5 years." If that's you, I would like to know that, and I would like to help you with that. The other conversation I have a lot of is, "Hey, we're in 25,000 or 2,500 square feet. I think we need 6,000 square feet." Great. Let us help you connect to the appropriate brokers on the site and help you expand. So I think there will be more of those opportunities this year. And then in terms of new business activity, TBD. We'll see how it shakes out. But I am encouraged about how the year ended and how well we did last year.
Great.
And that's what I've got.
Well, thanks so much, Nathan. Hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions, and we are going to stay on, hopefully, for a few extra minutes so people can have a chance. If you have a question, you can submit it through the Q&A or through the chat, and we'll look for those. But so probably when they move to town, other than schools, the next thing they're thinking about is housing and where am I going to live and where are my employees going to live. And so we're excited to have with us Misty Woodford, who's the president of the Williamson County Association of Realtors. And Misty, are you a unicorn? Aren't you from here or pretty close to being from Franklin, a native? Maybe unmute Misty. Misty, if you'll unmute. There you go.
Yep, there we go. Not a Franklin native, but as of yesterday, I've been here half my life. Moved here right out of college after I graduated in December of 2000. So now I've been here as long as I've lived anywhere else. So I guess it's home now, by a day that I've lived here over half my life, but grew up in Western Kentucky. So similar area, not too far away, but
you've got
excited
some great numbers. You've got some great information to share with people, and it's always very interesting. Williamson County's housing market sometimes reflects national trends, but also sometimes it sets national trends, I think. And so please, you've got control of the slides, and you can use your mouse to click through those. And we'd love to hear your presentation, and please present fully. We've got the time, as long as we can stay on.
And my mouse is not clicking through the slides.
Try your error. There you go.
All right. So again, appropriate that I'm last, because everything I have to say is a reflection of what the gentlemen before me have presented. What we do in the housing market is highly affected of what's going on in our community. And I would say that, right now, Williamson County is a trendsetter in the national market. We're outperforming the national market by a considerable margin. And as Nathan said, what's going to happen in 2022? I don't think any of us really know. If you had asked us in January of 2021, going into our second year of a pandemic, based on the information we had from 2020, I don't think we would have made accurate projections for 2021 in the housing market. But the best way to predict our future performance is to kind of see what's happened over the last year and take insight from some of the trends that are happening in our community. So just a few of the highlights to look at specifically in Williamson County. One of our driving forces is our inventory level, and days on market, a 56% increase over year. So, selling your house today is going to take less than half the time it took to sell last year. And not only looking at our Williamson County market, but also fueling as the 9 counties around us is the same situation. We're at less than half a month's supply of inventory in our entire region. So that helps hold that Williamson County number up higher, even though our price point is much higher than surrounding areas. The inventory is not there either. So there's not a lot of availability to branch out. A balanced market would be 4 to 6 months of inventory. And again, we're at less than half of a month of inventory. And a couple of different factors we look at in terms of sales prices, either the median or average sales price. Our median sales price increase was 27% throughout the course of the year. And again, going back and looking at what's happening in our region, if you look at the average sales price increase, the lowest in our 9-county region was 17.4% increase in Davidson County, and Williamson County sat at the highest at a 32.7 average sales price increase over the course of the year. And then at the national average, that was a 12%. So you can see we're almost triple the national average and double some of our neighboring counties. And I'm not switching to, there it goes. It's just a little delayed on my switch. This next slide, just kind of month over month, wanted to point this out to show that, you do have some months that the numbers go down a little bit and they bounce back up, but we've not had a true monthly median sales price decrease since the Great Recession. And the real estate market is generally on an 8 to 10 year cycle. So people would be saying, okay, it's time for something to head south in the real estate market. But if you look at anything the local economists are saying, the national economists are saying, and what's happening in our community, we don't see that being a factor in 2022. There it goes. Again, days on market, we're looking at 11 days on market, median sales price at $740,000 in that increase. But you're looking at, I think Nathan said 1,000 new jobs coming in. And when you're looking at Illinois, California, some of the Northeast, where we're seeing a lot of our clients come from, their average sales price and their median sales price is in that number. So that's not, while it may be shocking for us looking at the market conditions, the only community in Williamson County with an average sales price less than $500,000 is in Fairview. Whereas, I think many of us could say we couldn't afford to buy our own houses anymore. Just at what that increase has been, it may be shocking to us, but it's not shocking to the people coming in to our market. So that is helping hold that value high for us as well. And, it's a simple law of supply and demand. We've sold fewer units activity this year than we did last year, slightly more than what happened in 2019. So you're seeing the continual increase. And then when we look at, we look at past trends and what's an average increase through the market. A normal increase in the Williamson County area market would be 8 to 12, maybe 15% year over year increase. We looked at a 30% increase. Is that sustainable? Well, there's a couple of things that we start looking at in that. One thing is the Fed's just announced, interest rate increase on second home purchases. So what does that mean? Is not necessarily investment home. This is homes that people have, as truly a secondary residence. And we actually have a good bit of that in Williamson County, where children are here to enroll their kids in schools. Grandparents have retired and they purchase a second home here to be near families. The Fed also announced a course of 4 increases throughout the year that would affect interest rates on primary home purchases. So what does that do to your buying power? A percentage increase in the interest rate affects your monthly payment. And I've long said that people don't shop a sales price, they shop a monthly payment. So when your interest rate has increased, that affects your buying power and your ability to enter the market or to upgrade in the market. And again, the increase in jobs and people moving to our area, as Eric said earlier, this is a community feel, and what we've done to improve our community. People want to live here. They want their kids in excellent schools. They want to have the feeling that we've created in our area, and they want a great place to work. Williamson Inc. has created several opportunities for that. So people are going to constantly be moving to this area for that quality of life. And then you've seen an increase in self-employment through a national trend and this remote workplace. So you'll see people that, want to pick where they live because they can work from anywhere. So those are all factors when you look at our overall tax rate, our cost of living as general, that controls our market. And as Nathan said, the stability of the economy in our area, even if workforce dies off and you look at, do we face another recession? What's happening with inflation? We're a pretty secure area to live. So even if there is a downturn nationally, we don't much see that here. The problem we run into is, we've got a 6% annualized gain in the national wage rate. So if you're looking at a 6% wage rate increase and a 30% average home price increase, that obviously creates some discretion. So there comes a point that people simply can't afford the increase. So in terms of market increase over time, I don't think we'll see another 30% year over year average price or 24% median price increase. But I think your investment in Williamson County is safe. I don't think you're going to be losing money anytime in the near future. And again, we could go almost a year without selling much inventory and still remain in a stable market just because of the lack of supply that we currently have.
And I think one of the things you just said about that affects lack of supply is people are here, and once they come, they want to stay, right? Even if they can't move up, they're going to stay in what might have been a starter home to someone else. And the downsizing is a little difficult here as well due to the market rates and prices, I guess a little bit, correct? So it affects the kind of mix of housing available on the market.
Right. And I mean, one of the things we hear from our clients is, I would love to downsize, but I can't afford to downsize. And, or they want to upsize and they're afraid to put their house on the market because they know it's going to sell before they find something else. And, they don't want to be homeless. So that's affecting inventory coming into the market, is just the hesitancy to make a decision.
So, and Misty, I wanted to ask you one more question. How many members does the Williamson County Association of Realtors have? And all those people are independent business people, right? There's most that you would consider them self-employed independent business people.
Yeah, that we are. I'm not sure what the January numbers is. Our renewal cycle is January 1st, but going into the end of the year, we had just over 3,200 members. And sorry, Amazon is at my house, so my dogs are about to get really loud. But we are independent contractors, and that's part of the work we do. And advocacy is to protect not only our homeowners' property rights, but our rights to work and defend that. It's a lot of what we do as an association. So we're part of that growing self-employed number. The National Association of Realtors has more members now than ever. And we have more members than we have houses for sale. So that's an interesting dynamic there as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And if you want to mute, I'm going to take back over. And I am going to ask, and Eric, I think you're still on here, and maybe Nathan, but how has the growth in the county with the influx of new residents changed your 2022 plans, if at all? What are the challenges and benefits to this growth that we're seeing? And Eric or whomever would like to answer that, happy for you to do it.
Yeah, I don't know that I would say it's changed our plans. It's something we've been experiencing for a number of years, but we've done a lot of long-term planning, whether it's land use planning, planning for our different infrastructure components, integrated water resource planning, major thoroughfare transportation planning. All these elements fit together, parks planning, they're all in 10 and 20 and 30 year segments. And that's why we build the infrastructure we're building, like the water reclamation plant. That's a long-term investment that is designed to meet the needs of the community over time and maintain the quality of service that we have and build on it. So, it is working the plans that you have to provide and meet the needs. It's building on the foundation that's already there. What has attracted so many people and businesses is good land use planning, things that focus on delivering on quality of life. And we work to continue to do that and continue to build on it. If you're not growing and experiencing these dynamics, you're really the community atrophies, and so we want to plan to grow, but grow in a smart way that fits the quality of life that we have, the community character that has been so attractive and made this home for so many of us. So it's really having long-term planning in place and working those plans that helps support the growth and respond to it.
Anybody else have a thought on that question? Obviously 2020 caught us unawares perhaps, or perhaps a bit unprepared. 2021, we all looked ahead and forward to 2022, and we adapted. We all learned how to use Zoom. Even kindergartners learned how to use Zoom, right, Jason? And so as we look forward to 2022, what we saw when we asked people when they were signing up about what are they most optimistic about, what are they most cautious about, what are they most more optimistic, and look forward to sort of a return to normal. But it's a new normal, right? Is it a new normal? Jason, remote school, or those who choose to attend school by not being in person. Tell us a little bit. That's a huge change.
Well, the state has pivoted over the last year and a half. So the spring of 2020 is when, the governor recommended all schools, get off campus and close. And at that point, to your point, we didn't have the robust capacity to do school remotely. Now, the standard at the state level for public schools is that if you are to go remote, you actually need to submit a request to the Commissioner of Education with details as to why you can't, based on COVID-related staffing or student issues. So we actually report weekly to the state. Everyone has to at the public schools on our COVID numbers, both staffing and students. We actually can include all that on our website. So our experience has been we reflect the community with those numbers, but absent a large number of folks physically out because of COVID, we will be on campus. And so we do everything we can to stay on campus because our experience has been it's better. It's good having those extra tools, but for students, there's a reason why students are on campus.
And Eric, I know that this has had an impact in local government, and it was, I heard you make a presentation to the board of mayor and alderman or the budget and finance committee about employee retention, and that's part of this increase in salaries, but also in how you all operate City Hall and who's present and who's not. City meetings were held remotely. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in 2022.
Yeah, we've all learned many lessons in the last 2 years about being adaptive, being resilient, finding new ways to do things and still deliver services. We've enhanced our flexibility and work locations, remote work, hybrid work situations, but that doesn't work for everything we do. I mean, you can't be a firefighter or a police officer and work remote. It just isn't reality. So we work with what safeguards we can provide for folks, but also make sure we're there for the community to provide the services we need. We keep looking at those numbers. We still track numbers of our employees very, very faithfully and make adjustments if we see surges, because we reflect what's happening in the community as well. And so, you just continue to adapt your services, have flexibility where you can, but stay focused on delivering the services the community's counting on at the end of the day.
And I'd love to have more time to talk about Misty's report and delve a little deeper into that. And actually, when we do City Hall on Wheels in a couple months, I know, Eric, we're planning to talk about what's going on. Part of that will be talking about what's going on in terms of affordable and workforce housing. And so Misty will have you back perhaps as part of that as well. But there is a lot still underway. When people think about it, they always ask the question about affordable housing, but defining that and making it applicable to our area is a difficult discussion sometimes, for sure. And it requires more than a passing glance, I would say, for sure. Thank you all so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate your taking your time to help us understand what's ahead in this new year. And we are excited. We have a lot of things ahead in the new year. We have found a real strong approach to people being open to having the ability to interact through remotely and through Zoom and other technology. And these are our web or social media and website addresses that you can get. Here's a big thing going on in Williamson County. So starting January 14th, you will no longer have to have emissions testing. But everybody's getting a new license plate this year. Everybody's getting a new license plate unless you have a specialty plate such as the historic Franklin license plate. Franklin remains the only city in Tennessee to have its own license plate, and purchasing a historic Franklin license plate at the county clerk's office is an additional $35, but it does go, half of that money goes to Franklin Tomorrow, but also you don't have to change your plate. So in the future, you can keep that plate and keep your number. So you can find out more about that at the county clerk's office, and you can order it online even. So it's going to be an amazing thing to see them get new license plates on every car in Tennessee, for sure. It's going to be crazy. Our next event coming up is our January 25th Breakfast with the Mayors, and I'm excited to announce that we will hopefully be in person. We intend to be in person at Rolling Hills Community Church on January 25th, and our topic is going to be Franklin's living history, in that we have invited and have received positive responses from all but one of Franklin's living mayors. That would be John Schroer, Lillian Stewart, Jerry Sharber, and Dr. Jeff Bethurham. So we hope to have them join us on stage and talk about how Franklin became under their leadership, the community that it is today. And so we're excited. That'll be January 25th. We'll be setting that up for people to sign up this week. It is free, thanks to generous sponsors like Pinnacle Financial Partners and others. So we hope to see people present for January 25th. And thank you again to our panelists, Jason, Eric, Misty, Nathan. Thank you so much. And we will post the PowerPoint on our website, and this will also be available, the video, on our YouTube page as well as on the city's channel as well. So thanks so much, and y'all have a great day, and stay safe and stay warm. Have a great day.